Recording in progress.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. It is 2:03 p.m. My name is Ty Mentzer, Chair of the Board. To my right, Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Carolina Mejia. To my left, Commissioner Rachel Grant, and Commissioner Emily Clouds, County Manager Leonard Hernandez, Assistant County Manager Jennifer Walker, Clerk of the Board Amy Davis. This meeting is being live streamed pursuant to on our Thurston County YouTube channel. Public comment in writing can be received up to 2 hours in advance and distributed to the board. Action may be taken at this meeting. Of course, this is a business meeting primarily. So we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead if you will stand and join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next up is a land acknowledgement.
We'd also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and stewarded the lands and waterways of this county with great care, and who continue to, as sovereign nations today, specifically the Squaxin, Nisqually, and Shalis people. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connections across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing. We commit to working together to honor our past and build our future with truth.
Thanks, sir. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. There is a proposal regarding 2 items. If someone would like to make a motion.
I move to propose consent item 13, contract extension with the City of Rainier for law enforcement services until March 31st business meeting, and consent item 14, interlocal agreement with the Port of Olympia for the transfer of 2 vessels to the Sheriff's Office until the March 17th business meeting.
Second.
Motion and second for an amendment to the proposed agenda to postpone 2 consent items as laid out by the Vice Chair. Any discussion on that motion? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye. And now the agenda as approved, is there a motion?
I move to.
Sorry, as amended is what
I
I meant
move
say.
to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
I heard Commissioner Mejia second, so we have a motion and second, and any discussion on the motion to approve the amended agenda? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, so next up is public comment related to items on today's agenda. Mr. Pettit, you are the only person signed up on that. So you come forward in a few minutes. Well, I'll just say them, then I won't say them for the next piece. So the general rules governing guidelines governing public comment are that you come forward, introduce yourself and the address you reside, state the agenda item for this piece that you are speaking to, address the board, not audience or staff, silence your cell phones. The board will not directly respond, but the county manager may follow up with specific items as needed. You'll have 3 minutes. You cannot donate that time to other speakers. Be respectful. No outbursts, commercial comments, land use permits or quasi judicial matters that could come before the board and appeal, no electioneering, and finally, all written materials provided to us will likely be considered public record subject to release upon request pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 RCW. You're up, Mr. Pettit.
Thank you. My name is John Pettit. I live in East Olympia on Rich Road. What I'm going to talk to about today has to do with item number 1 under your consent agenda. Item number 1 is a contract for janitorial services. Now, it isn't so much I have any problem with the idea of having a contract, but there are certain rules, and the county commissioners have been dealt with before going into a state audit about the procurement policy. Now, the procurement policy, there's certain rules at the state level, and since the county is actually a sub-agency of the state, we have to follow the state laws, but we happen to have procurement policy which is even more restrictive than the state laws. And under attachment B of the procurement policy, I believe it was signed by Mr. Ty Menzer. It provides for certain amounts which require a bidding process. If you had a bid, if you were going to award a contract for, and the highest level here is $350,000, it requires a formal bidding process. There has been no apparent bidding process at all, just merely, well, they're on the state list for providers. That is not a qualifying element to receive money from the county under the procurement policy. Our policy states maximum of 350 if there's no federal funds involved. There are certain provisions under the state law, under certain parts. Our policy overrules any of that state mandated portion. And so while I'm not going to try to go beyond my 3 minutes, which hasn't started yet, I'm noting this because, you know, the policy is really about a combination of things. One is the county getting the best value in dollars. Number two is the opportunity for contractors to seek the business. The contract you have registered that you plan on accepting without any bidding process is going to go to a contractor up out of Seattle. Well, gee whiz. A few years back, I remember there was a big hoo-ha about the not providing an opportunity for the local union people to be able to do it and cut them short. I think you need to remove this one, consider this one here null and void until you clearly read and follow the procurement policy. If you go forward, then once again, we'll probably just have another audit finding like the furniture in this building. Didn't follow procurement policy. Had to pay back $1.9 million. Okay, I think that pretty much states it. Follow the rules. It's one of the few things you promise to do is to follow the rules. It's your rules. And I'm going to leave this particular page up here so you remember procurement policy and you can look at it. Thank you.
Anyone else who did not get a chance to sign up regarding items on today's agenda? Okay, we'll move to county manager update. I've got you, yeah, we'll be there shortly, Mr. Ballard.
Thanks so much, Chair. We do have an update regarding our Building Development Center. They put together a graphic, Thurston County Building Development Center by the numbers. They go by the BDC reviews and issues building and development permits in unincorporated Thurston County. In 2025, they issued more than 4,000 building and land use permits, authorized 350 new residential lots, and permitted more than 480 single-family homes to support future housing needs. Also permitted approximately 16 million in commercial development, helping expand economic opportunities across our communities. And they achieved 97% compliance with state mandated permit review timelines, exceeding the required 50% benchmark. Staff are working hard to make the process, which is heavily regulated by complex state and federal mandates, faster and easier for our community. Behind every permit represented in the graphic above is a real outcome: a family moving into a new home, a business opening its doors, or an investment being made in our local economy. So we just wanted to give a special thanks to our CPED department and specifically our Building Development Center staff for their continued hard work. And Chair, I know that there was a question about item 1 this morning, and as normally happens during agenda review, the morning moved by fairly fast. But we do have our Director of Central Services, Kim Burnett, here. And Kim, if you wouldn't mind just kind of coming up for a moment. Sorry to put you on the spot. But I know that we had a question this morning from commissioners about our use of the statewide contract. And if you could just speak to how the county is able to utilize statewide contracts that have been competitively bid. And that is a procurement process that is absolutely viable and appropriate for county governments to use. And it may be still in your thunder as I'm talking here, but giving you a chance to queue up. It'd be great just to get that out for the record.
Yes, let me look at my notes here. It's under RCW 39.26.050. It allows local governments to use contracts awarded by cooperative agencies, including DES. And the contracts are, go through a complete public solicitation process, a competitive bidding process, and a award process. This actually saves the county time, staff time completely, because we're able to, it's called piggybacking off of what the state has already done. We don't have to go through that entire process. It also gives volume price discounts, and we get access to a larger pool of vendors by going through the cooperative agreement. The county recognizes that using bid processes and contracts awarded by cooperative agency achieves efficiency and greater volume discounts, and the procurement policy encourages the use of these opportunities, and it's actually in section G, in accordance with provisions of RCW 39.34, which speaks to Interlocal Cooperative Act. And DES, when we're using their contract, satisfies these policy requirements through its competitive procurement process.
Thank you for that, Kim. And as related,
DES, one second.
Department, yeah.
Department of Enterprise, yes,
Services.
and they're, yeah, it's a Washington State.
And so as we discussed this morning, this is not a new contract. This is a renegotiated contract to help
Correct.
save the county a net $81,000. Is that correct?
Correct, that is correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so again, as we said this morning, and just to reiterate, special thanks to our Central Services Department for really being industrious during the budget conversations and looking at ways to save the county. I believe it was a total of over 100,000. And then because of the sheriff's building acquisition, we actually were able to add a level of service there and come out with a net savings, as our assistant county manager said, of 81,000. And we understand that the procurement, guidelines are, can be complex, but if you take something out of context, then you can get the wrong outcome. So thank you for coming, Kim, and being available to explain the context of why this decision is not only appropriate and allowable, but also saving the county money and an efficient use of our time and effort.
Okay.
Can you kind of paraphrase the service level changes that?
Oh, certainly. The service level changes, we're gonna be reducing, or eliminating the day porter at the, county courthouse facilities. All of that will now be taken over by the facilities maintenance, division. Response times will be a little bit, slower. We're thinking it'll go from about a 5-minute response for urgent requests to about 15 to 20 minutes. We will have staff available throughout the day, like we do with any other public-facing division or department or office. The other one that we reduced is, instead of emptying trash in all of the county-owned buildings and 2 of our leased buildings 5 days a week, we will be doing it 3 days a week. And those 2 things combined saved us $100,000 a year.
So this was, when we were having the budget discussions, we were looking under every rock for ways to save money. And you came to us and you suggested kind of dialing back the janitorial services. And in this suggestion, you've come up with ways like emptying the trash less.
Yes.
It's gonna save us $81,000 a year.
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, sure.
Yeah, thank you. So, the comment that we received, I think part of it was that the, county's procurement process is a bit more stringent than the state. So you were citing the RCW. Is there anything within the county code or the county's procurement policy, that would require a selective bidding process with this sort of thing, or
Yeah, it's actually called out, I believe it's section G of the procurement policy that speaks to using cooperative agencies.
Okay, yep, thank you.
And Commissioners, we've done this for other types of situations, so this is not like it's a unique or one-off. And those situations have passed audit checks as well. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to consent items. We have now, based on the amendment, 17 items. It's 1 through 19, but with removal of 13 and 14. Is there a motion to approve that consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Second.
Motion seconds, non-debatable motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So now we are public comment for general matters, and we have several people signed up. Mr. Pettit, you're first again on this list, and then we'll go to Patricia Williams, who's on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Pettit, Rich Road, area Southeast Olympia. You know, regardless what people may say, that's why we have the state auditor to follow up on issues such as that. And the other part is if staff has given you incorrect information, now that a formal statement's come out regarding it, it does call for a dismissal of that person for not being truthful. So just keep that in mind. You may be receiving an email soon with some more information. Thurston County, we know, is in significant financial stress at this point. Significant. And in fact, we have so much stress that we decided we had to, or I should say the board decided they had to eliminate positions in the clerk's office to be able to help the courts. But you know what was just shocking to me was that somehow, why there's not enough money to pay employees to actually be there to service the citizens up at the clerk's office, there was plenty of money to send several commissioners to Washington, D.C. to a conference of which there's no value of that conference providing money to the county. The expenses, I don't know the expense. I imagine it's probably $15,000, $20,000 to send several of you for the weekend and all the luxuries and the hotels, get to run all over Washington, D.C., act like big stuff. Well, that concerns me. One is this the best prudent purpose and use of the county funds, the taxpayer money? The second part, which I'm dealing with, is I had heard a grapevine, and I think it's a true live grapevine, that there's even talk about, well, maybe we need to have a levy lid lift. Well, I've already mentioned to you before, about a week ago, we don't have any transparency in our government, and we don't have any accountability. Those have all been removed. And we can't trust that we're not just going to spend money on nice trips for people. So what's my motivation for trust? I can assure you, I do not trust organizations that put themselves first and then put the employees underneath lower. You may recall, some of you might recall, before I ran a campaign against certain things, and I would do it again. Because until I can get trust and accountability, transparency, everything's a no-go. We spend $7,000 a day for this building. A no-go. No more taxes.
Patricia Williams with Terry Ballard on deck.
Hi, Patricia Williams, Pattison Lake Drive in Lacey. I spoke with you in September about the Atchison Road Quiet Zone request, and it seemed like you were all familiar with the problem and supported our mission. You knew the statistics, you were aware of the lake reflecting the sound and the ricocheting of the sound off the buildings. You've heard my story and many others of the personal impacts of the noise. You also know we have a study report compiled by our Quiet Zone team with an in-depth analysis of all the high-traffic railroad crossings in the county. What you might not know is the expertise of our Quiet Zone volunteers who conducted the data gathering and analysis for the study document. This is not a high school extra credit project. These people all have degrees in engineering and extensive experience with collecting and managing environmental data. They have worked professionally as engineering consultants. Their CVs are lengthy, impressive, and pertinent to this research. They have decades of experience. It seems progress is being held up by your priority to include all communities around train crossings in Thurston County, and the cost of that study being estimated at $50,000. Our Quiet Zone team believes they have already prepared that study regarding potential quiet zones for all crossings in the county with more than 5 trains a day. This information is based on their experience in studying quiet zones for the past 3 years and is available to you at no cost to the county. They have complete transparency regarding their research sources and methods. You are being offered valid, valuable tools and professional analysis for free. You could use our study as the pilot for a countywide program for initiating diagnostic reviews. Our Quiet Zone team subsequently could help with the diagnostic review of the Atchison Road crossing, and the Railroad Administration welcomes that input. You are being handed an opportunity for an amazing amount of skilled research and analysis at no cost to the county. I would like to know your anticipated time frame for initiating a diagnostic review of the Atchison Road crossing. If you will not use our study to initiate the review, please explain your reasoning. I know we don't have a conversation now. I'd like to, but
There are details that we're not gonna be able to get into here, but at a high level, I wanna ask the county manager, I know that we have had there's a lot of discussions going on amongst all commissioners, so there's that, and the answer was about the time. We probably can't answer the question because I know Commissioner Klaus and I were asking recently about a timeline for a follow-up discussion.
Yeah, I think we're within about 2 weeks of bringing that to the board for a discussion, and Commissioner Klaus has done some really good legwork, and we're like at the final stage of those conversations.
okay, so we're at a conversation stage.
I just want to, again, we can't get into details.
Okay.
I can tell you there are a lot of wrinkles to this
Okay.
that are, that are being sorted through and thought through. So, I mean, at this juncture, you just have to be patient with our process, but it's still a topic that we're working through.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, next up is Terry Ballard with Melanie Ravalia on deck.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name's Terry Ballard. I'm a resident of Tanglewilde, unincorporated Thurston County. I retired in 2012 with over 35 years of Army service. I'm here to talk about the history of Thurston County. As the web has opened up a lot of information has been disproved. If you don't know, Thurston County was established on 12 January 1852. The seat of government of the county was established on 12 January 1852. We were still part of Oregon Territory at the time. Okay, between 14 April 1854 and 1873, the boundaries have changed of Thurston County. We give it to all other counties were created, other towns were created outside the county, Chehalis, all those were boundaries. But by Article 11 and Article 2, Section 28, number 18, the boundaries have to be changed by the boundaries of the county seat, not the county, has to be changed by a vote of the people. That's in our Constitution. Okay, so I read these documents, went over to the Attorney General's opinion of 1987 and the Thurston County versus City of Olympia and City of Tumwater, where they tried to move the court from where it exists currently to Tumwater. They said that the county, they could not do that because the county is, the county seat is not Tumwater, okay? Is not Tumwater, but they did say in 1861, the county seat was established and has never, the county seat was established and never moved. And I disagree with that because on July 1861, an attempt to move the county seat from Olympia to Tumwater or West Olympia was defeated by the voters. So the county seat never changed in 1861. The county seat as it exists is on 12 January 1852. This building was annexed to the city of Olympia in 1964. The boundaries of Olympia doesn't change a vote by the Thurston County people, okay, to make the county seat wider. So ever since December of 22, you've been operating out of the county, outside the county seat, and per the Open Public Meeting Act, everything that you decide on past that date is null and void. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Melanie Rabaglia with Jane Poole on deck.
Greetings. For the record, my name is Melanie Rabaglia, residing here in the great state of Washington, working for a living here in the great county of Thurston. I am here today with an update on our yearly event, Procession of the Species. The regular needs of money, permanent studio space, and strong hands are always ongoing. Thank you all for providing funding. We have found our community art studio. It is located at 509 East 4th Avenue. It is the former home of Orca Books, together with the former home of the Johansson Ballet School. The studio will be home to workshops where we can, through imagination, create and share our joyous artistic pageant, embracing the languages of art, music, and dance to inspire learning, appreciation, and protection of the natural world. Today, I am here inviting you again to participate, to join, to celebrate, to create, to develop, and build, and help make this event happen. This Saturday, March the 7th, is Load In and Setup Day. We will need trucks and strong humans, lots of humans. From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Load In is at the Tumwater Brewery Warehouse. From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Studio Setup is at 509 East 4th Avenue. This Sunday, March the 8th, is our Community Art Studio Open House. From noon to 5, located at 509 East 4th Avenue, we are on our way. Studio tours, art workshops, and more setup. With our eyes on the prize. April the 24th, Luminary. Get this.
Ooh,
Luminary begins at 8:30 p.m. That should help put heads in beds. I was looking for a hotel room downtown so I could just plop on in right after. Didn't find my place, but I'm still looking. On the 25th, procession begins at 4:30. All the while, Arts Walk is happening, filling up the streets of downtown Olympia. The website is www.procession.org. The Facebook page is Olympia Procession of the Species. Stay in touch. I'll be back with updates. Thanks for listening. See you soon.
just to follow up on what you said, Melanie, the official Arts Walk is, in the evening, but then the unofficial Arts Walk is late night, lots of music and lots of venues downtown, so makes sense to get a room and put a head in a bed.
You got it.
All right. Jane Poole is next with David Nightingale on deck.
The session is fabulous. I took my students there for many years and participated. Good afternoon. My name is Jane Poole, and I live at 7639 Atchison Drive on the southeast side of Pattison Lake. And I'm here to just make another comment about the quiet zone and the diagnostic review that needs to get done to lead up to the Atchison Crossing Quiet Zone. Our road, Atchison Drive, forms a cul-de-sac crossing the railroad tracks. And I live about 8 houses in on that cul-de-sac. There's about 30 houses on the other side of the tracks where you cross the tracks, and some on the lake and some not. We cross the Burlington Railroad tracks multiple times in a day, approximately on average, probably 12 times. And when my husband and I were both working, we're both retired now, and our son was participating in multiple activities, we crossed more than that probably. I consider that crossing to be incredibly safe. I don't rely on the train horn when I cross. I rely on the Burlington Northern's work with the gates, the flashing lights, the bells, and I still, if there's none of those are down, I still slow down and take a look both ways to make sure that the train is not coming. We've done that for 31 and a half years that we've lived there. And we knew when we bought a house by Pattison Lake and by railroad tracks that we were going to hear trains, and we've heard them and didn't bother us until recently. The number, in the last maybe 5-10 years, the number of trains has really increased, much more frequent. And it's definitely, we know that there's many more. We have the Pattison Lake Association Quiet Zone Committee. They did extensive research that Tricia referenced and figured that there are at least 30 trains per day on average. They also did research on the decibel levels and the range of the sounds. 30 trains per day, each train 4 horn calls. So that's 120 train horns in a day going by, and during every day and night. And that's where my personal problem comes in. I've never been a great sleeper, and as I get older, sleep is harder to get. Often after being awake for a while, I'll finally lull myself to sleep, and then I hear that train horn go by. And of course, it's worse in the summertime with windows open, but last night, windows are closed, and probably 2 or 3 different times I was just going back to sleep, and there's the train horn. When we're outside in the yard and we're having a conversation with people, we have to stop talking when the horn sounds because it's so loud. And it's momentary. It doesn't take a huge long time, but it definitely affects our quality of life. So I really would appreciate the time of the board in initiating the diagnostic review and the follow-up working on the quiet zone. I think it will really enhance the quality of life for my neighbors and myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you. David Nightingale's up.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. David Nightingale. I live on Fair Oaks Road, and I'm a member of Pattison Lake Association's Quiet Zone Committee. Thank you for taking our comments today. And we've been doing this for years, working with staff as well as commissioners. And for those of you who weren't commissioners when we started, just to give a couple of points of history. As the Quiet Zone Committee, we started working in late 2021 on this issue, doing our own research, doing, what's possible, what does this look like. By February of 2022, we had done a survey around the lake and beyond of sound levels and how impactful that may be based on EPA and other health type of metrics. Public Works has done diagnostics review before, just not for quiet zones, but other diagnostic reviews on railroads. So Public Works is experienced in doing diagnostics reviews, not something new they're gonna have to figure out how to do from scratch. Based on our research of diagnostics reviews have been done in Washington State and elsewhere, they're a page, maybe 2 pages. This is not, an act of Congress or a big tome of something. A diagnostic review is bringing some experts together, and our committee is willing to work with Public Works, who would be the lead on this, with Federal Railway Administration's Burlington Northern, and the Utilities and Transportation Commission, to put together this short document that would be the diagnostic review. What you get out there is what's likely, what would be appropriate, and how much would that cost likely. So you get an estimate of what it would be and about how much it would cost. Now, there's thousands of residents that are affected right now, many times day and night. So we're asking you to move forward with doing the diagnostic review, give you the information. We think we have a pretty good idea. We've actually worked with Public Works in back as far as May of 2022. Public Works had actually designed the improvements it would need for the road and putting the curb in the middle, which is the likely outcome and the likely remedy that all the experts we've talked to have said that's probably what you're going to need to do is a supplementary safety measure, which would actually improve the safety beyond the already safe status it has right now. So anyway, please move forward with the diagnostic review, and then there'll be a decision based on that going forward. Thank you very much.
Anyone else who's not have a chance to give public comment that didn't get a chance to sign up? There's no one online, so we're going to move on to commissioners' community reports. Commissioner Grant, you want to start?
Yeah, I'd love to. It's been a long, so bear with me, but, so since my last report, I spent much of my time in Washington, DC, attending my first National Association of Counties Legislative Conference. I came home energized and reminded of how powerful counties can be when we work together. Connecting with local leaders from across the country strengthened my understanding of how federal decisions directly impact Thurston County and how we can actually influence them. While I was there, I represented the Washington State Association of Counties in meetings with Congressman Strickland and Senator Maria Cantwell, along with Commissioner Mejia and Commissioner Fournier. We all were working hard to represent Washington State. We discussed key priorities for Washington counties, including direct federal transportation funding for local governments and permitting reform. Talked closely about permanent authorization for the payment in lieu of taxes program. It has to do with federal lands and public lands and how we get paid for those. We talked about improvements to FEMA's reimbursement process and increased funding for emergency management and mitigation and how we would get that. Behavioral health reforms, and we talked with them about addressing the Medicaid inmate exclusion. I also served as a voting member while I was there on the National Association of Counties Health Policy Steering Committee. Together, we advanced resolutions to guide federal advocacy over the next year, which will include relief for counties and implementation of the federal budget and the Medicaid and the SNAP changes that are coming from the big beautiful bill. We'll be working on that. Funding was approved, well, not approved funding, but we approved advocating for more funding for research on CTE, which and its impact on student mental health. And CTE is the result of football injuries and things like that. And while we were there, we had another tragedy in the news with Rondale Moore losing his life. And so that's really important. I think it's really important that we're working on, getting federal money so that we can look at student mental health and CTE. We talked about strengthening the workforce, expanding healthcare programs for first responders, encouraging federal action on kratom classification. And kratom is a drug that is sold over the counter, and wanting to make that a scheduled controlled substance. And then I co-sponsored a resolution to secure increased reimbursement rates for rural emergency medical services. So for those, right now currently in Medicaid, someone who is transporting someone from Yelm gets the exact same amount of money that somebody's transporting someone from inside Lacey city limits. And so we want to change that Medicaid rate, and we advocated for that while we were in DC. In addition to that, I participated in meetings with federal agencies, attended mid-sized county caucus, transportation policy summit, other national discussions. And, these conversations matter. Federal policy shapes our transportation system, our behavioral health services, our emergency response capacity, our rural funding streams. And I intend to remain active in all of the National Association of Counties to ensure that Thurston County, have a strong voice at the national level. And then I also came back with some really cool, powerful reminders about the role that counties play in our country. And I'm just gonna list some stats off because I thought it was super cool. There are 3,069 counties in the United States, and there's more than 40,000 county elected officials serving their communities. Counties support over 44% of all public road miles in America, 40% of the public transit systems, more than 750 behavioral health authorities, over 100,000 polling places nationwide. And we invest 17 billion annually across the country in housing and community development, operate 91% of all local jails, and steward services that support more than 300 million visitors each year who benefit from federal public lands that are within county boundaries. And also 12 billion is invested every year in parks and recreation from our counties into, across our nation. So, counties are not small players in government, and while I was there, that's what I learned. We are essential infrastructure. And then I also, while I was away, I'm grateful to my assistant Ashley for representing our office at the 911 Advisory Committee and Nisqually River Council and STEADY. And I really am coming back ready to work for our community because of that trip to DC. So that's my report.
Sounds like a lot of the conversations that you were having were about getting money for counties.
That's right.
On various fronts.
That's right.
So it's important, I think, to highlight.
Yep.
Commissioner Klaus, you're up.
Thank you. So I attended several community events and meetings over the last 2 weeks. I attended virtually the public hearing on Senate Bill 6002 on February 18th. I held my police accountability public safety monthly meeting where we discussed the recent tour that took place at the Washington County Community Corrections Center. We discussed its potential relevance to Thurston County, particularly regarding jail costs and rehabilitation outcomes. And updates were provided due to, in response to questions asked related to developing immigration policies around the county and in the region, and ongoing legislative bills. I also attended the TVW Annual Gala, courtesy of WASAC, Washington State Association of Counties. That was a really fun event. I attended the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative with at least a couple of my seatmates. I think that might have been when some were in DC, but usually most, if not all of us, attend that meeting. I met with Councilmember Vanderpool from Olympia and Dana Evans from Built for Zero to discuss how coordinated entry and Built for Zero can better support the Regional Housing Council through improved data transparency, system education, and clearer communication about how the homelessness response system operates. We also addressed concerns around growing criticism focused on visible homelessness versus invisible homelessness, the risks of criminalization approaches and funding instability. And we talked about the importance of ongoing data sharing, conference participation, and continued education for council members to support informed decision-making. I also attended a preliminary preparation meeting on a presentation that I'll be giving at Panorama City on homelessness. And we discussed point-in-time data and some other metrics that I'll be including in that presentation. I had some constituent meetings around topics related to public banking and climate coordination. I also attended the Thurston Climate Action team's Climate Catalyst Speaker Series, Games for Change. So I've been attending a few TCAT events recently and they've been a lot of fun. They've been really informative. I think I reported on one last time that was related to the same topic, but it's you know, people coming together, and recently the topics have been around how to utilize different games to learn about climate change. So for any like board game folks out there, we actually had a solar powered themed Catan game that we didn't start because we knew we would get sucked in and be there all night long, but there were some games that community members made themselves. There was like a card game, I want to say it was called like Ecosystems or something like that, and it was a pretty cool game where you have like event cards, you pull them, you get your, you know, your hand where you can play different responses to the events, the climate events that happen, and then based on your response, you either lose money or you make the air quality worse or better. And so it was a pretty cool interactive game that started some really good conversations, so that was fun. I attended the Coalition on Juvenile Justice Back to Basics presentation on fundamental principles for youth justice. And that was a really informative meeting that discussed the white paper presented by the Coalition of Juvenile Justice and urges focus on decades of research around what works for youth. And it was spearheaded by the CJJ's organizational committee, which is putting on a series in efforts to help youth in the justice field, state agencies, and youth-serving organizations to realign policy and practice with evidence, strengthen cross-sector collaboration, and advance a continuum of care that reflects the original vision of the Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention Act. So that was a really informative discussion as well. I attended the South Sound Sustainability and Climate Coordination call. I also met with some representatives from the Thurston Conservation District and the Capital Land Trust with a theme around Oregon spotted frogs, which everyone here I think knows I'm very enthusiastic about. I will be visiting an Oregon spotted frog restoration site coming up here in April, so I'm really excited about that. I was told I have to wear like boots that go all the way up to my hips because it's gonna be really deep water, so I'm looking forward to that. It's gonna be a dream come true, going out there and seeing what's going on with the frogs this year. So I'm very much excited and looking forward to that and appreciative of the Conservation District and Capital Land Trust representatives for meeting with me and kind of talking through some of the reports that have come out specifically around spotted frog habitat, which I think is really interesting. One thing that I think stood out about my meeting with the Capital Land Trust, actually, which it was the Thurston Conservation District, we actually specifically talked about a study not only on spotted frog habitat and what's going on there, but also a social science related to restoration efforts and what people can do to kind of change behavior in the community and spread awareness. And some of the conversation was around property owners who have spotted frog habitat on their property and whether or not they felt the incentives offered by the county were effective or interesting to them. And it turned out that financial incentives weren't as significant in making property owners care about restoring habitat or maintaining habitat, but it was actually just information lacking. So if landowners with spotted frog habitat are more aware of what's going on with the spotted frogs, they're actually more likely to buy into the incentive program. So it's actually, that was interesting to me because typically financial incentives are the way that we feel are the most effective. But what I learned was that it's actually just an education barrier. So that was interesting. We still have some public commenters in the room who might appreciate this update. I met with the county manager and staff to discuss quiet zones. We discussed whether to move forward with a diagnostic review for the Atchison Road crossing. Staff outlined some thoughts around liability, annual insurance costs, maintenance obligations, and some of the things that we know have been part of the conversation for a couple years now. And we discussed the importance of getting clear, concrete information without creating false expectations for the community. So as the county manager stated a bit ago, within a couple weeks, not assuming, we are working on getting this conversation to the full board within the next couple of weeks. So you should see that on an upcoming agenda. It's just a matter of coordinating the logistics there. And the ball, I think, is in my court right now to get the county manager the information he needs to put this on the agenda. So I'm happy to discuss that with residents. I'm always available if you want to call me or email me to talk about the latest updates, but just know that that's in the works. My meeting was just on February 27th with the county manager, so just a couple days ago. So it's an ongoing conversation and we're working on moving that conversation forward without creating, the expectation that the review is gonna automatically initiate a quiet zone. We don't know, there's a gap of understanding there between what the review might say and what the action might be and what action we could take, or we might run into additional barriers after the review. So we're kind of talking about what that could look like. So more information coming soon. Over the weekend, I attended the LGBTQ Public Leadership Summit in Seattle, put on by the LGBTQ Victory Institute. That was a really good time. I met with a few city council members from King County and Pierce County elected officials as well, and that was a great event. And then lastly, I had a meeting with Commissioner Mincer and one of our appointed Board of Trustee members for the Timberland Regional Library and kind of talk through some of the ongoing conversations in the public related to TRL. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. So for me, I attended the Washington Risk Pool Legislative Steering Committee, as well as the Partnership on Juvenile Justice meeting, as well as the Legislative Steering Committee. And it's just been a quick moving session, so just working through. Our risk pool was pushing for different tort reforms, and unfortunately, those did not move forward. But we are very thankful to Senator Dingra for her help and helping us really push that conversation forward. And it's going to be picking up at the next legislative session. Had a meeting with external stakeholders in regards to the USDA meat processing plant with Commissioner Fournier. And we got an update that there will be a groundbreaking sometime in springtime. So we're very excited about that. And they will be sending out an invite to the board for that. Attended an intercity transit meeting as well as the Washington State Association of Counties Legislative Steering Committee. Attended the BHASO governing board meeting. And then I flew out to DC for NACO, which given this time, I would like to address a public comment that we heard in terms of the benefit that Thurston County gets. So I started attending these meetings around 3 to 4 years ago. And since that time, and the benefit that Thurston County has gotten from commissioners attending those conferences has been we were able to secure appropriations for the first time in two different projects, one for the USDA meat processing plant that's going down into Nino, as well as our Thurston County Fairgrounds. And we were also able to see the full benefits of the American Rescue Plan Act, and we were able to transfer some of those funds over to our general fund that has really benefited kind of our bottom line and helped give our employees a bonus that we wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for us going to those conferences and learning about all the benefits and how other counties were using ARPA dollars. And then also it was through those conversations and us flying out there and meeting with our delegation that Senator Cantwell was able to advocate in improving culverts into a specific grant that then got us the funding for the Green Cove Culvert project in Commissioner Menser's district, which was a very big project. And we got a lot of support from our delegation, including Congresswoman Strickland. So the benefit, I can list out many more other projects on the benefits that Thurston County residents get. Those conferences are very, very busy. I think that this time, having Commissioner Grant as well as Commissioner Fournier there, I don't think you really have a breathing room as you're jumping from one session to the next. And some of the things that I'm involved with the National Association of Counties, I'm to the phase where I'm very involved internally with the Healthy Counties Innovation Council, as well as the Arts and Cultural Innovation Council, and programs and membership, and just seeing how we can better suit the offerings, the programs that NACO is offering to counties. And so there was a lot of conversation about that. So going back to the conference, during this time, we presented to the Law and Public Safety Committee, Commissioner Fournier and I, as well as other commissioners from Arizona, Coconino County, the Emergency Responders Policy, and that was passed by the Law and Public Safety Committee, and then later on into that conference, the Board of Directors passed it on, and so this will be presented to the general membership meeting in the summer. I also attended a variety of sessions and met with congressional staff, both on behalf of Thurston County as well as the Washington State Association of Counties, with both Commissioner Grant and Commissioner Fournier. During that time, of course, I did not forget about my legislative duties back home while in DC. So as many of you know, the operating budget for the state got released on Sunday, and the capital budget got released on Monday. So I was busy reviewing the budgets as well as on calls with reps and senators to see kind of where our priorities are. I want to give a big shout out and a thank you to Commissioner Menser for holding down the fort and be willing to go and testify and work for our capital requests. I know that That was a busy Tuesday for you, but I know you did a great job. And then I did testify on that Monday for the operating budget. So far, it looks good for our judicial reimbursement fees. We'll see what the final number is, where we land, but I'm very proud of that we are able to get something in an operating year where we were told no more operation dollars are going to be given out. And so just very thankful to the work that went into that. So that is all that I have to report, Chair.
Can I throw one thing in, just kind of supplementing what you said? Commissioner Mejia, you
Yes.
made me think. One thing people really don't realize about our jobs in the county government is like, county government is so leanly staffed. The people that work here, they have full plates and a half. We don't have policy analysts. We don't have people that just go out. So a lot of that falls on us, the commissioners, and we get high-level ideas from the community, but there's a lot of internal, like detailed stuff, and it kind of falls on us to go out and learn about things and bring things back because we have that flexibility between all of the board meetings to do those things. Not that we're the only ones doing it, and ideas come from everywhere, but I think people don't quite realize how much of that we do because there aren't anyone else to do it. Everyone on our staff and our departments and offices are really, really busy with the work on their plates. And they come with good ideas about the specific work that they do, but when it comes to like this cross collaboration and high level ideas and what are other jurisdictions doing, they're not gonna see that necessarily. And the commissioners, and that was I saw that in my first few years on the board, which was one of the reasons I advocated for 5 commissioners, because I knew that having 5 of us do that, not only do we represent the constituents in Thurston County, but it's just 5 more brains and schedules to put toward that kind of work that really benefits the county at a high level. So thank you for highlighting Commissioner Grant and Mejia, what the value of that is. I think it's valuable. Commissioner Fournier, you're up.
All right. At the EDC board meeting, it was voted in to add Rusa Castle from the Artisans Group to the board. So there's only 1 vacant position left, so that's exciting. There was a guest from Ecos, which is a local company in Lacey that manufactures earth-friendly plant-based cleaning products. And then the Port of Olympia gave an update on some of the stuff that they're going through. I also attended the TVW Gala, as mentioned by Commissioner Klaus. Had a meeting with Kyle Cronk from the YMCA and learned about a project that they're trying to get off the ground in the Hawks Prairie area that is pretty exciting, as well as some of the other things that the YMCA is working with. At the EMS Council, we talked about, again, just rolling out the new medic units is probably the biggest deal. And then spoke also with our director at EMS and emergency management about emergency management contracts with local jurisdictions, which is something that we'll be learning more about in the next coming weeks. I don't want to beat the dead horse. Yeah, I guess that works. I don't like to say disparaging things about public commenters or constituents, except for one, but I'm going to do my best not to. The comments made, I guess I don't need to say it, everybody else has said it, but it's ridiculous. When we're functioning at our best, I think, and the staff are working internally, the 5 commissioners are out in the community and they're doing the external work. And that looks that's a lot of different things. That's working with the public to kind of understand the sentiment and the pulse of the community. But it's also going out and look, I just see it as looking for treasure, and there's a lot of projects and a lot of things that we need in Thurston County that we simply cannot afford with simply our tax base. And I know full well that when you go out and you have those meetings with the legislators at the state and federal level, you potentially, and I know actually, bring back millions of dollars into the county coffers that are used in projects like the Green Cove Bridge, the county courthouse buildings. And I mean, it's the return on investment when we're actually out there meeting with our federal delegation or state delegates, it's astounding. I mean, I don't think you can really even quantify it when the county spends $1,000 to send Commissioner Mejia to DC and she comes back with $9 million. Bite me. Sorry. I had meetings a lot of the same meetings, and it wasn't just about Wasac's agenda or NACO's agenda. We also go around with our agenda. And, you know, the things that we were meeting with our federal delegates about were trying to find additional funding to help fund the courthouse so that those costs don't fall completely on the county taxpayers. We were talking about some of the behavioral health facility needs that we have. And then we were talking about the fairgrounds. Met with Senator Cantwell's office, Senator Murray's office, Marie Glusenkamp Perez's office, where we talked about the Ag Park project and continued funding there that supports our agricultural industry and our farmers in not just Thurston County, but Lewis, Mason, Grays Harbor, Pierce County. And we've secured a lot of money for that project, doing these types of things. And then met with Congresswoman Emily Randall's office, where she introduced to the House of Representatives an ordinance that we introduced first here in Thurston County, the Emergency Responder Protection Act, that was talked about by Commissioner Mejia. And I did a town hall with her after the State of the Union where we talked about that. And then, as was mentioned already, Commissioner Mejia and I presented to the NACO Public Safety Committee a resolution asking for the National Association of Counties to add the Emergency Responder Protection Act to their national agenda. That resolution was passed by that committee and it will go before the general committee at the New Orleans meeting. So hopefully we'll be going to that too. There'll be some dollars spent on that, but it's well worth it. But I'm sure we'll get negative public comments from one individual on that project as well. So there you have it.
All right, thank you. All right, so as Commissioner Mejia alluded to, I spent one day working on the top county priority for budget. I want to give a shout out to Representative Barno and Representative Parsley, who both took time to talk to me and our lobbyist and seemed super committed to try to help us get some positive results. We'll see how that, where that falls. Quiet zone meeting with Commissioner Klaus. I had a YMCA meeting, as did Commissioner Fournier. Met with the representative from the Park Foundation about their contract. The TRL meeting that Commissioner Klaus referenced with our board member to see what's going on there. Forestry, we opposed a cut called CHI, which was approved by the Board of Natural Resources. Immediately following that, King County Court invalidated a action by the Department of Natural Resources on a similar parcel in King County. So I had a meeting about whether that decision would apply in Thurston County and what we could do with that. And there's still ongoing consideration of that. I had a State Building Code Council meeting that takes all day on a Friday. Alliance for Healthy South Sound Council meeting. Thurston County presented on our work on tree canopy and restoration targets. That was really interesting. I've seen posters for it, I've heard hints about it, but to see the full presentation was good for me. There were 2 canvassing board meetings as we put a bow on the special elections for February. Sierra Club meeting I attended about pollution on the Chehalis River. Met with Superior Court about budget issues. Attended the Wasac legislative briefing, Chehalis Basin Partnership meeting last Friday. A pre-meeting for the meeting I will be tomorrow, missing part of our board work session. Vice Chair Fournier will be chairing for me because I've got a Washington County Insurance Fund meeting. I'll be popping back and forth as we deal with docket and some issues, but I'm going to pass the baton to Vice Chair Fournier because I've got that tomorrow. And that pretty much covers the big pieces of my last 2 weeks. There was some pre-meetings for Lot's board meeting this week. And yeah, all right. So lots going on for all of us, and I appreciate, yes, Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you, Chair. I actually have one update to provide. This just came in.
Hot off the press.
Yeah, hot off the press. It's not a great one. After 90 years of service, United Way of Thurston County will be concluding operations on March 31st. This is, I serve on the Emergency Food and Shelter Program with United Way of Thurston County, so that assignment will be coming to an end March 31st. And just a couple of programs that United Way of Thurston County has offered is the Education to Financial Stability Task Force, the Career and Resource Navigator Program, Residential Construction Academy, Emergency Food and Shelter Program, and several other collaborative programs. They are working closely with the SPSCC Foundation to ensure that the remaining funds continue supporting workforce education initiatives locally, but I just wanted to give that announcement while we're here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Close.
Chair, before you close the meeting, if I may.
Yeah.
The National Association of Counties is a super important organization, not only to our nation, but for our county here. And there are different types of conferences, conferences where you go as commissioners and staff to be enriched and poured into and learn new ideas. Those are very valid and important. And then there's working conferences. And the conference that our commissioners just came back from was a working conference. A couple of weeks before they left, they approved an agenda for our federal legislative platform. Commissioner Grant, Commissioner Fournier, Commissioner Mejia were literally hitting the pavement, meeting after meeting in a snowstorm, being miles away from the actual conference itself, having to Uber back and forth. I know because with the time zone change, I got texts and emails sometimes out of our time zone where they were asking for needed information to do their job and to leverage Thurston County. For them not to go and for Thurston County not to be represented would be irresponsible of this board in this county, as others would take our place and their agendas would be advanced in place of ours. As we know that resources are limited. And so I was very proud to have our commissioners fighting elbow to elbow with other commissioners and other supervisors. I know so because I heard from peers, hey, I met some of your commissioners at the place you now work. And so it is a place where everyone who is in county government goes to convene to make things happen. And I'm proud of the commissioners and the hard work that they did to advance our agenda and to put our name on the national map, which Thurston County, just a reminder, won the most National Association of County Awards of any county in the state. And that's part to play with the information that commissioners bring back to help us become a better operating county. So thank you for their hard work and dedication. It is definitely not a vacation. They are working because the conference goes into the wee hours of the evening with different social events and meetings to meet with legislators and other folks to advance an agenda. We appreciate that, them coming back, jet lag, and then hitting the ground running in the middle of the week. So thank you.
All right, thank you. We're adjourned.